Coming up tonight on YCN News, Claremont counselors listen to a request to change the name of Bonmark Drive. Vermont hospitals face a battle with Medicare reimbursements. And YCN prepares to bring viewers the Warner Fall Foliage Festival Parade in a Columbus Day special. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Friday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Claremont counselors listened but took no action Wednesday night on a request to change the name of Bonmark Drive to another street name. A resident of that road, John Tursky, told counselors he wanted the street to have a fresh start with a new name. About 30 years ago, a contractor named Bonmark Drive after his two children, Bonnie and Mark Yusko. Years later, it would be Bonnie Yusko Johnson who would be convicted of embezzlement from her employer, Mike Satso, owner of the popular North Country Smokehouse. Johnson, the smokehouse former office manager, is serving a 3-year federal prison sentence. About $600,000 may have been embezzled. Tursky compared Johnson's theft to Penn State's fallen yet beloved football coach Joe Paterno. Counselor Vic Bergeron bristled at the comparison. Paterno's alleged cover-up of a child sex abuse scandal does not equate with Yusko's financial mistake. And while Tursky's neighbor, Bill Carpenter, was in the audience Wednesday night, no support was coming forward to change the street name. There also is nearby Bonnie Lane, also named for the young Bonnie Yusko. Changing a street name is costly and complicated. Streets are named under a 911 protocol. There are 17 homes on Bonmark Drive, plus 5 homes on Bonnie Lane. Tursky told counselors he is unwilling to ask all residents on Bonmark Drive they agree or not on the name change. Counselors became more concerned that if a street name change was approved, no other residents on that road came to Wednesday's meeting. That was where the discussion evolved and ended, how to encourage more people to attend public hearings that could affect their lives. In other Claremont City Council news, residents of Ledgewood Road are hoping repairs to the city's drainage system can stop excessive flooding after heavy storms. Ledgewood runs off Charlestown Road. City DPW Director Tom Woodley told councilors the city is overdue for repairs to its drainage system. It could cost about $10 million to fix roads including Ledgewood and Bible Hill. Turning to Vermont news, 10 of its 14 hospitals are eyeing a fight against the federal health program that distributes Medicare funds. It's not the distribution that's the problem now. It's the government wants back the money it earlier gave to hospitals to treat elderly patients. Vermont Public Radio reports that 10 of Vermont's 14 hospitals are battling with Medicare reimbursements after the federal government is claiming that it overpaid these institutions by nearly $12 million statewide. For places such as the Mount Ascutney Hospital here in Windsor that could lose up to $200,000 per year, this payback would be extremely difficult to cover. It remains to be seen how the hospitals will proceed. When YCN News returns, YCN prepares for a Columbus Day special on the Warner Fall Foliage Festival. And a juvenile bald eagle is released into the wild on a Squam Lake Island by New Hampshire Fish and Game Conservation officers.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. A reminder for viewers to tune in Monday night to catch the 11th annual Warner Fall Foliage Festival Parade. The parade will replace Monday night's regular news program. It's time again for this week's financial news segment. We'll focus on protecting your retirement. How should I handle long-term investments once I'm retired?
Facing retirement soon, or let's say you're recently retired, keep in mind that your investment time frame is still probably a pretty long time. The average person nowadays who retires at 65 has about 25 years or so that they want to be prepared for. Especially if you have a spouse and you're married, there's at least a 50% chance that one of you will live past the age of 90. So keep in mind that just because you're retired doesn't mean that you are no longer a long-term investor.
How concerned should I be about market fluctuation during retirement?
So the best thing to do is, as you're facing retirement, set up a strategy that will produce enough income for you to live on for the rest of your life without having to worry too much about market volatility. And what I mean by that is, if you keep enough cash in your portfolio that will cover your expenses for the next year or so, that's a good starting point. If you own investments like stocks and bonds and you're collecting interest and dividends from those investments, those tend to be fairly consistent even if there's a market decline. So with those two factors, then you're not depending too much on what the market is doing as far as supporting the amount you're taking out every year. So the most important thing that you can do in retirement to protect your portfolio is to pick a strategy and stick to it. And what I mean by that is that emotions can drive a lot of your decisions in other parts of life. And sometimes if you're choosing a spouse or if you're trying to help your kids, those emotions can come in handy. But when it comes to investing, emotions tend to steer you in the wrong direction. So it's just when you're feeling the worst about your investments that you should be hanging on to them or adding more. For some reason, when stock prices drop, that tends to make people want to sell their investments at a low price. And as long as you have good quality and well-diversified investments, you shouldn't need to sell them just because they dropped in value. But with that in mind, make sure that you have a portfolio that is likely to fluctuate within a range that you're comfortable with, because there's no point in having investments that keep you up at night. This is Martha Mackey, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, located at 54 Opera House Square in Claremont, New Hampshire. Member SIPC.
Thank you, Martha. It's no secret that some roads in our region are not as smooth as they could be. Sometimes a vehicle's alignment can get out of shape if it hits a bumpy patch of road. Let's learn more.
Also think about checking your alignment. We see that over the past few years, tires have become such a specialized part of your car, and they become so expensive, more so than they were 10 years ago. A set of tires can be incredibly expensive, so it's very important to check the tires to make sure that you're getting the maximum wear out of them. And when you do that, you're also making sure that you have good tread, which helps in your stopping ability and your cornering ability. But with the advent of all-wheel drive cars, you have to change 4 tires. If you have one tire that goes bad, and we're constantly running up against that, which we hate to have happen, and customers hate to have it happen as well. You may have 4 good tires on there, and you ruin one tire because of maybe a road hazard ruins it, or maybe just because of the car is out of alignment. But when you have to change 4 tires, it's extremely expensive. So you want to keep a close eye on your tires and your tire pressures. With the advent of TPMS sensors, which are tire pressure monitoring sensors, people are much more aware of the light on their dashboard that comes on, but it also serves a good purpose in that it makes sure that you don't run your tires low on pressure, because if they're low on pressure, then they also wear faster.
Let's hope not many vehicles will need new alignments. In an outdoor report, a juvenile bald eagle was released into the wild on a Squam Lake Island today by New Hampshire Fish and Game Conservation officers, and wildlife rehabilitator Maria Colby of Wings of the Dawn Bird Sanctuary in Henniker also helped the young bird get his wings back. Conservation Officer Christopher Bryson rescued the injured bird in August of this year. It was found with a broken leg near its nest on Long Island in Squam Lake. A concerned island property owner on Squam reported the injured bird and helped Fish and Game reach the island by boat. Bryson brought the rescued eagle to the Squam Lake Science Center, which then relayed the bird to be rehabilitated by Colby at the Henniker Sanctuary. It is not known how the young eagle was injured, but it may have fallen out of the nest or had a rough landing while learning to fly. Either way, Fish and Game officials report today the bald eagle took off under its own power and soared upward into the sky. 44-year-old Douglas Reed of Baltimore, Vermont, is charged by police with marijuana and hashish possession. At 5:30 p.m. Wednesday, police were called to Reed's home about a burglary. Police determined entry was made into Reed's residence between 6:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. on that day. An undetermined amount of coins and marijuana was taken from a safe in the home. As police investigated, troopers allegedly found just under 2 ounces of pot and over 10 grams of hashish, still remaining in the safe. Reed was issued a citation for possession of marijuana as well as possession of hashish. The burglary is still under investigation, and anyone with information in regards to the incident is asked to contact Trooper Wood at the Rockingham State Police Barracks at 802-875-2112. Reed is set to appear in Windsor Court on November 25th. When YCN News returns, we'll join Kearsarge Chronicle's Sean Bowman, who met with Mimi Wiggin from Mimi Wiggin Fine Art.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we'll have mostly cloudy skies with lows in the 40s and winds around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 57 degrees with partly sunny skies and calm winds. Tomorrow night we'll have partly cloudy skies with lows in the 30s. Sunday morning we'll have patches of frost beginning around 5 a.m. through 8 a.m. Skies will be sunny with a high of 58 degrees. Sunday night we'll have mostly clear skies with lows around 36 degrees. And now let's take a look at our fall foliage report. YCN will continue to bring you updates on the foliage in New Hampshire and Vermont counties. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in Lebanon, New Hampshire, the First Baptist Church will hold a closed giveaway from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. In Westmoreland, the Maplewood Nursing Home will hold a crafts fair at 10 a.m. In Vermont, the Landmark College in Putney will hold an Empty Bowls benefit dinner at 5 p.m. On Sunday in New London, there will be a strawberry shortcake social on the town green with political guests such as Kelly Ayotte, Scott Brown, and Marilinda Garcia at 1 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. And now let's take a quick look at high school sports. There were 2 games last night worth mentioning. A girls' soccer game occurred last night. Hanover High School took on Goffstown High School in an exciting game. Both teams were almost identical in offense and defense, and played strong. Hanover had just a little more power and teamwork to win the game. The final score was 1-0. In girls field hockey, it was a Lebanon and Merrimack Valley matchup. Lebanon, who already has an 11 wins and 1 loss record, completely shut out Merrimack Valley 5-0. Lebanon will go on to play Plymouth next Tuesday.
Thanks, Matt. When YCN News continues, I'll join Lisa Cannell for this week's News in Review.
The YCN News continues in a moment.